For over 90 years, an obsession has pushed us to keep improving how our cars look, how they drive, and how they make you feel behind the wheel. It's in our DNA. It drove us to successfully engineer our revolutionary rotary engine, and it's driven us to reimagine the automobile as a whole today. Our goal? Ultimate efficiency. To achieve the unheard of, where fuel economy, low emissions, and outstanding driving performance coexist in cars accessible to everyone. To pull it off meant starting with a clean slate versus carrying over old ideas and parts like everyone else. It meant starting from the ground up and rethinking everything to work together in unprecedented harmony. We call it SkyActiv technology. Imagine an engine that pushes the boundaries of engineering by delivering the compression ratio of a Formula One race car and 15% more low mid-range torque, yet 15% better fuel economy, all on 87-octane fuel. Imagine an automatic transmission so smart it perfectly rev matches downshifts faster than a dual-clutch transmission. Imagine entirely new bodies, 220 pounds lighter, yet stiffer and stronger than the bodies they replace. We imagined it all, and more, and then we made it a reality. At Mazda, we saw no other choice, committed to lowering fuel consumption and emissions across our entire lineup while refusing to compromise how our cars drive, pushed us to achieve a new standard for all future automobiles. SkyActiv technology from Mazda. Fuel economy, performance, together. The future of driving begins now. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? Over 95% of the world uses gas and diesel combustion engines now. And even by 2020, 90% still will be. That leaves only 10% using alternatives. Cars that run on electric, hydrogen, corn, or even French fry oil have potential. And we're working on alternatives too. But the solutions most car makers have come up with so far either offer up the driving exhilaration of a couple squirrels on a treadmill, or are so expensive they're just not realistic for most people. To really affect global fuel consumption and emissions right now, you have to use something the globe actually uses right now. Rethink the combustion engine. Make it better and accessible to everyone, and you'll make a difference, a big difference. How big? Consider that current combustion engines waste about 70% of the fuel's potential energy. That's a lot of room for improvement. Our overall goal is to get 15% better fuel economy and a 15% improvement in low mid-range torque from the same engine, all on regular fuel. Two 800-pound gorillas stood in our way. The first was figuring out how to capture more energy from the fuel. To do that, we needed to raise the compression ratio by placing a dome on each piston. Because the more you squeeze the air-fuel mixture, the more energy you get from the combustion. But a high compression ratio usually ends up causing knock, which is when the air-fuel mixture ignites too soon because it's too hot inside the chamber, and that's no good. So we had to cool things off. Using some huge engineering muscle, we came up with innovative solutions to do just that, like a high-pressure 6-hole direct fuel injector that fires gasoline into the cylinder at 3,000 psi to help keep it cool, and a volcano-like pocket in the piston that improves combustion efficiency, giving burning fuel a place to grow without wasting energy heating the top of the piston. To get all that hot exhaust out without it shooting into the other cylinders, we added a longer exhaust manifold used in race cars called a header. Everyday cars don't use headers because of the emissions problems they create, but our advanced direct injection system solved that issue too. That's how we got more energy from the fuel. The second gorilla was making sure we weren't losing any of that precious booty on its way to the wheels. So we reduced friction inside the engine by a whopping 30%. How? By sweating every little detail. We've improved oil pump efficiency by 74% and water pump efficiency by 31%. Reduced friction from the big bouncy bits like the pistons, rods, and crankshaft by 25%. Reduced valve train friction by 54%, and even reduced the effort the engine exerts to suck in fresh air by 13%. When it was all over, we had done what couldn't be done, achieving more torque, better performance, and higher efficiency. SkyActiv technology from Mazda. The future of driving begins now. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? This is a story about a common enemy, one that flummoxes automotive engineers and boxers alike: weight. In the same way that too much of it can slow down an athlete, it can also lead to heavy fuel consumption and overall poor efficiency in cars. But unlike a boxer, you can't just put a car on a diet. The body has to be strong and rigid, because strong keeps it safe and rigid keeps it handling properly. So our SkyActiv target for the body was 30% greater rigidity, top crash safety performance, and 8% weight reduction. We got there with more extensive use of high-tensile steel that's stronger and lighter than conventional steel, and harder working streamlined geometry, such as crash energy pathways that are more efficient by taking advantage of the entire body instead of just the floor. Our chassis goals were weight reduction, more Mazda nimbleness, and improved stability. Designing a quicker steering system made us more nimble at low speeds. Then, using a very European-style front suspension geometry, we beefed up high-speed stability for that smooth mover on the Autobahn kind of ride. In the rear, we changed wheel angles and pivot points in the suspension links to improve stability and make bumps less bumpy while decreasing brake dive when braking. Big changes like these were made possible by our clean sheet approach. In many cases, car chassis and bodies are engineered by different groups, even different companies at different times. When you do this, each part has to be compromised in order to work with the other, versus being perfected individually, as well as harmoniously integrated with surrounding parts. But since our body guys and chassis guys were able to work together, we didn't have to compromise. Another example? Why not take advantage of areas in the body that were being pre-strengthened for crash safety and mount the suspension parts there versus strengthening new areas of the body to mount them? The result? A chassis weight reduction of 14% without sacrificing handling performance. In the end, we achieved some amazing numbers in weight lost and in fuel economy. But numbers aren't enough. Mazda owners want a car that drives great as well, and we delivered there too, by improving the ride in ways you can really feel. So chalk one up for the Mazda engineers, for thinking smarter and finding a better way. Boxers, you're on your own. SkyActiv technology from Mazda. The future of driving begins now. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? An engine that makes more power from less fuel is great. But if stepping on the gas feels like you're communicating with the wheels via messenger pigeon, what's the point? To be fun, a car has to be responsive. Traditional automatic transmissions are great when you're starting from a stop or creeping along in traffic. However, we saw a big opportunity to improve their responsiveness and fuel efficiency. To make it a reality, we needed the best of two worlds. The getting going and first gear smoothness and controllability of a traditional automatic transmission, plus the direct connectedness and fuel efficiency of a manual transmission for the rest of the gears when you get rolling. Basically, we wanted a manual transmission that shifts for itself. Introducing the SkyActiv Drive 6-speed automatic, a new kind of transmission that marries a torque converter from a traditional automatic with a clutch from a manual. Making it all work and getting the kind of precise, split-second shifting we wanted meant our new transmission needed a mind of its own, literally. So, we implanted an advanced control module that's like having a professional race car driver in your gearbox, shifting with such quickness and precision, it can even perfectly rev match downshifts. With that kind of responsiveness, this high-performance gearbox also improves fuel economy by up to 7%. The net result? All boxes checked. Smooth, direct, and efficient. What more could you ask for? How about a better manual transmission too? One with the crisp, precise shift feel that you'd find in a Mazda MX-5 Miata. We wanted that incredible shifting performance and feel in every vehicle we make, so we engineered the SkyActiv MT 6-speed manual to have the shortest shift throw in its class, as well as being smaller, lighter, and stronger than its predecessor too. Thanks to both our transmissions' compact and lightweight designs, our new SkyActiv bodies could be built more efficiently around them, further contributing to the overall SkyActiv technology goals by bringing improved fuel economy and performance together. Jackpot. Both new transmissions are major innovations, and both already have the rest of the automotive world scrambling to catch up. They prove not only what Mazda is capable of, but what can be achieved when you refuse to compromise. SkyActiv technology from Mazda. The future of driving begins now. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? You may have never thought about this, but driving a car is quite a feat. You're operating a machine 20 times your weight and hundreds of times more powerful. If it feels like you're struggling with a stubborn woolly mammoth, then driving is quite a chore. And if you're not in control, it's scary. At Mazda, we want our cars to feel like they're part of you. We call this feeling Jimba Atai, or horse and rider as one. A well-trained horse doesn't feel like a wild beast. It feels like an extension of the rider's body, with lightning-quick reflexes, fluid movement, and effortless control. When our intellectual powers merge with a car's amazing mechanical powers, the result is something bigger than both. With SkyActiv technology, we set out to enhance Jimba Atai while improving environmental and safety performance. So we focused on enhancing the elements that make it up: directness, linearity, and lightness. Directness is all about feeling connected to the car. So when you step on the accelerator, it feels like you're communicating directly with the engine versus something that feels detached. And when you turn the wheel, the response feels firm and immediate, not sluggish or soft. To enhance directness, we did things like engineer the SkyActiv Drive automatic transmission to be locked to the engine power for 90% of the time instead of 50 to 60% in most cars. To understand linearity, think about how it feels to get tossed around in a roller coaster. Being lurched and jerked around may be fun on an amusement park ride, but you wouldn't want this in a car. When driving, motion should feel smooth and gradual, increasing or decreasing along a predictable linear path. This gives the car more stability and the driver more confidence. The chassis plays a huge part in this linear control, so we spent a lot of time dialing in things like the rear suspension to ensure the tires stay firmly planted on the pavement. Keeping the rubber on the road and the steering responsive keeps handling linear. The vehicle does precisely what the driver wants without the wheels slipping. We also did things like limiting brake dives so there's no lurching or bouncing. Finally, lightweight is crucial since cars that are lightweight and rigid are not only more agile and nimble, but also more direct and linear. Thanks to the SkyActiv technology clean sheet approach, we were able to reduce overall vehicle weight by as much as 220 pounds. That's the equivalent of 3 Akitas, or 1 small sumo wrestler. Achieving Jinbeitai is no easy task, but this merging of man and machine is what Mazda is all about. After a decade of developing SkyActiv technology, Jinbeitai is now better than ever. But there's no need to take our word for it. Climb behind the wheel to experience this incredible technology for yourself at your nearest Mazda dealer. SkyActiv technology from Mazda. The future of driving begins now. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? Congratulations, Rudolf Diesel. The engine you invented in 1893 has come a long way. No longer sooty, clattering workhorses, today's diesel engines are quiet, durable, and cleaner than ever. They're also around 30% more fuel efficient than comparable gasoline engines, yet deliver much more torque and power. But with these improvements came compromises. To run their higher combustion pressures, conventional diesels need heavy industrial-strength parts that sap driving performance. And cleaning up their nitrogen oxide emissions often requires costly after-treatment systems. So, we saw a big opportunity to create more torque, better fuel economy, less weight, and lower emissions. First, we defied convention by dropping the compression ratio to the lowest in the world for a diesel, 14:1. This delays combustion by just half a millisecond, which is enough time for the air and fuel to mix more thoroughly, reducing hot spots of oxygen and fuel that would otherwise turn into pollutants. Bingo. Our combustion is so clean that we meet the toughest emission standards without an expensive nitrogen oxide after-treatment system. And while low compression would normally mean a loss of efficiency, we actually improved it, because our clean slate approach allows us to optimize the combustion timing, which gives us a longer effective expansion stroke. Another challenge with low compression diesels is getting ignition going when the engine isn't warmed up. So we use ultra-high pressure piezo fuel injectors that are so fast and powerful, they create a rich air fuel mixture that's easier to ignite. Then a patented variable valve lift system recycles hot exhaust gases back into the combustion chamber to quickly warm up the engine. Best of all, our engine's low compression ratio doesn't require the usual heavy industrial grade parts. As a result, the engine's weight was slashed by 10% using a lighter crank and pistons and an aluminum block rather than cast iron. This allows us to build lighter, more balanced vehicles with much better handling. Mechanical friction was also decreased, resulting in lower fuel consumption and an exceptionally high redline of 5,200 RPM. When we were done, we had created a beast with much more torque at low and high speeds, yet 20% lower fuel consumption than its predecessor. The SkyActiv D 2.2-liter twin-turbo diesel delivers the driving performance of a 4-liter V8, the cleanliness of the latest clean gasoline engines, and the fuel economy of a hybrid. With such dramatic improvements, Mr. Diesel himself might not recognize it, but no doubt he'd love to drive it. SkyActiv technology from Mazda. The future of driving begins now. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? The universe had a great idea with the circle. With no beginning or end, it enables stuff like infinite loops, cycles, turns, and rotations, even a certain kind of engine. The automobile is a great example of the power of this concept, but there's room for improvement. In conventional cars, the engine converts fuel into motion energy, but when you slow down, a lot of that hard-earned energy says goodbye. That's a broken loop. Meanwhile, cars also use a lot of electricity to power everything from essentials to all the electronic gizmos that drivers demand today. They get this electricity from the alternator, which in most cars is constantly cranked by the engine. sapping up to 10% of your horsepower in everyday driving. But we invented a way to reduce that to zero. IE Loop, a regenerative braking system that recovers wasted energy. It uses a special alternator that freewheels when the engine moves the car. But the moment you let off the gas, it wakes up to turn outgoing energy into electricity. These huge surges of power need to be stored somewhere. Less innovative systems feed it to the car battery. But batteries can't be charged in quick shots, so this method is less efficient. We had a smarter idea, a capacitor, which is like a battery but charges in seconds. It gobbles up huge amounts of electricity and sends it straight to where it's needed. With all its components in place, IE Loop closes the broken energy loop. Not only does it improve your fuel economy around 5%, but it also enables 100% of the engine's horsepower to go directly to where it counts. In effect, wasted energy is turned into driving enjoyment. By defying convention, Mazda brings you efficiency and performance together. And that's what SkyActiv technology is all about. The universe must be so proud. SkyActiv technology from Mazda. The future of driving begins now. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?